up, bro?
Appreciate you.
It's revolutionary, man.
Yeah, I want to be cutting edge.
Yeah, cutting edge, baby. Cutting edge.
Hello.
That's right.
Hey, everybody.
I like that too, man. I like that.
All right. We have some tension. All right, sweet. We're finally here, getting started about an hour after. Hopefully you've enjoyed the drinks. Can you... You want me to move it?
No, just people. To announce that we're streaming. It's amazing. To announce that we're streaming.
Oh, so we're live streaming on the Bitcoin podcast through Cointelegraph right now. Corey is over there, so if you want to be on a live YouTube stream, you can go put your face in that. So I'm Matt McKibben. If you haven't met me yet, I run a lot of DC blockchain Bitcoin things. I'm one of the co-organizers of the DC blockchain meetup. It's been, I don't know, 3-4 years. The ups and downs of that. And so I've got a couple different things written down here that I have to mention. Per contracts and all that jazz. Give me 1 second here. Cool. So wait, just to kind of poll the audience, how many people here know what a Bitcoin is? Alright, how many people own a whole one? A piece of one. How many have put their whole entire net worth in it? But I'd really like to thank everyone for coming out. This is wonderful that we've been able to make this for Equibit, which is creating a decentralized OTC stock exchange. A little bit, like I said, I run all of that stuff. I also run the D10E conference, which is a conference focused on decentralization and decentralizing technologies. Co-founder of Ubiquity, which two of the other co-founders are here. Nathan, who also works for Equibit, and then Christian, the bald bearded guy waving over there getting a drink. That company is doing blockchain-based peer-to-peer title transfers for real estate, and they're actually making a lot of progress right now.
We are. Ubiquity.
But since the inception of Bitcoin, these types of decentralized systems are really exploding all over the world. They're the one key common factor or attribute that they have is that there's not really a centralized authority that's just dictating what happens in these networks. And as we kind of see right now with the recent president that just got elected, there's a lot of centralized executive orders going on. And that kind of stuff doesn't happen necessarily with these decentralized networks. And it's really important to kind of take a look at that with our current institutions and then the new types of institutions that are being built on top of these networks and kind of compare and contrast which ones are better, which ones serve the individuals better, and which ones are going to win out in the long run. So So to highlight that, I think there's kind of a little bit of a funny story that happened today. It came out on CoinDesk. There was an employee of the Federal Reserve. I hope he's here. That would be sweet. An employee of the Federal Reserve that was mining Bitcoin with Federal Reserve computers from 2012 to 2014. And he got fined a whole $5,000 for using Federal Reserve equipment to mine Bitcoin for 2 years. Now, I don't know how much he actually made or how many resources he was using there, but I guarantee he's made a hell of a lot more than $5,000.
Could have been terrible when he did.
With all of that, like I said, I really welcome you here. There's an open bar. There's going to be hors d'oeuvres coming up right after over there. So they're doing that while you're distracted here. And then Chris Polacker is the CEO of Equibit, and I have his bio here, but it's not. So give me 1 second. That open bar really. Sorry about the pause. So with that honor, I'd like to introduce Chris. Chris began his career as an auditor at the Big Four firm before the age of 30. Was the CFO of a startup, a stock brokerage, and now manages over $4 billion in assets. He went on to found his own management consulting firm and has been instrumental in numerous successful multi-million-dollar startups, strategic initiatives for Canada's largest companies, SMEs, and nonprofits. He possesses a chartered accountant, chartered professional accountant designations. Chris is also certified with the Canadian Securities Institute as a partner, director, and chief financial officer. He's the CEO of Equibit, and give him a big round of applause.
Hey. You gotta protect my drink. It's very important. That's why you're here. Everything else is secondary.
I don't know where mine is.
Robert Frost once said, freedom lies in being bold. And this means many things to many people, but for me, it encapsulates the vision and attitudes of the cryptocurrency community. Merriam-Webster defines being bold as requiring or showing a fearless, intrepid spirit. For developers of decentralized fintech, being bold is a prerequisite. We're truly venturing into the unknown here, with only our wits and our wills to guide us. It's not always easy overturning centuries-old establishments, but those that do have their achievements liberate humanity from the shackles of ignorance and tyranny. Bringing new ideas to the world that stand in defiance of established orthodoxy can be risky business. In the past, the bold were Copernicus, Galileo, Turing. Today, we have Assange, Snowden, and Nakamoto. With the information age now in full swing, we're starting to see the promise of the internet being realized all around us. Hotelers and taxi cab industries are being disrupted by the likes of Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, and others. Now that we've managed to create digital scarcity, we focus our efforts on the financial industry. Bitcoin showed us the way, but there's still a long way to go. If nothing else, Bitcoin's greatest achievement is that it's finally awoken the debate over the character and substance of money. In a day where all money is issued by authority rather than trust, and its supply is managed by monopoly instead of math, people are finally asking, is this how it has to be? One by one, they're realizing two things. No, it doesn't, and alternatives already exist. Imagine a world where your assets are secure against anything but the most severe global catastrophe. And then imagine the moment that the net returns, everyone's holdings can be resurrected in an instant, since all of that information was backed up on thousands or millions of computers around the world. In this world of digital scarcity, amounts ranging from pennies to billions are transferred at the speed of information across a global network, all for nothing more than the cost of an internet connection. Billions of dollars of additional capital are freed up for more investment in more companies, and raising money is now easier than ever before. The payments industry is completely transformed, as have all other business models involved in the transfer of financial assets. The age where people had to pay to move intangible value is no more. It won't end, though, if we're not bold in developing these solutions. We still have to scale a wall that's been piling up for over a century. And that wall is built out of the most dangerous phrase in the English language. We've always done it this way. Cries the financial orthodoxy. Indeed they have, and they've done a fine job of it. But we're in the age of digital scarcity. And it's no use trying to play a whole new game with the same old strategies. Technology empowers individuals at the expense of the institutions they were beholden to. And in the information age, there's no bolder act than to advance a revolutionary idea, because that's how we achieve real freedom. In 2015, DTCC and ComputerShare brought in combined revenues of over $3.5 billion by clearing quadrillions worth of trading volume. They are only two of the hundreds of depositories and transfer agents around the world, businesses that currently form the backbone of the securities industry. It's also these businesses who have legal ownership to practically all of the registered stocks in the world. The failure of MF Global in 2011 brought to light these risks and the challenges of doing businesses this way. When the firm went under, suddenly the clients were made aware of who the ultimate owner of their securities were, and it wasn't who they thought. Direct registration is key in the mission of de-risking the securities industry. But until Equibit, there hasn't been a way to do this efficiently, securely, or globally. Now investors from the largest funds and brokerage houses to the average person saving for retirement can participate in the securities market with equal rights, abilities, and guarantees of safety. The burden of administering your shareholders is also lifted. The days where costs scaled with the number of registered investors are over. Whether you have 30 investors or 30,000 makes no difference in the Equibit environment. As we enter this new digital age, I want you to remember something. 20 years. In 1898, delegates from across the globe gathered in New York City to discuss a pressing issue in urban planning. The major topic wasn't housing, land use, economic development, or infrastructure. They were primarily there to talk about horse manure. In 1894, the Times of London estimated that by 1950, every street in the city would be buried under 9 feet of horse manure. Another prognosticator in 1890 predicted that by 1930, the city would be buried up to the 3rd-story windows. It's not hard to blame them when 60-foot-high piles of manure were not an uncommon sight. Not to mention all the other unpleasantries like urine, flies, carcasses, and accidents. The pollution problem was not new, and bans on the horse-drawn carriage go all the way back to Rome under Julius Caesar. The horse had been the dominant mode of transportation for thousands of years. They were considered absolutely essential to the functioning of that day's society. Without horses, people would literally starve. Railroads, a recent invention, were no help. They made the problem worse. With trains, it was possible to transport massive quantities of goods between cities, but once they got there, even more horses were needed to get the items to their ultimate destination. At the same time as the urban planning meeting, a group of inventors, companies, and financiers were hard at work on a bold new invention that would change the world: the automobile. Improvements in the internal combustion engine and development of the rules of the road led to mass adoption of this technology. In 1900, only 4,200 cars were sold in the United States, but by 1912, that number had risen to 356,000. That was the first year cars outnumbered horses in New York City. And by the end of that decade, the automobile had supplanted the horse in every industry. In only 20 years, a new technology had surpassed its less efficient forebears. The securities industry is facing similar challenges. The paper blizzard of 1970 led to centralization, then dematerialization of securities. However, like the railroads, this simply made the problem worse and burdened the industry with the responsibility of juggling ownership of an ever-increasing pile of securities, with all the costs ultimately being borne by the investment public. Equibit is a bold solution to this problem, and in adopting it, both the industry and its clients will be free from the toil of administering all the ownership of securities. And this time, it's not going to take 20 years. Thank you. So before, well, I guess we'll have a little Q&A, and then of course afterwards, if anybody has any questions they want to ask me, flag me down. The team is here. So if somebody wants to ask a question, just put your hand up.
How does a startup seek funding through Equibit?
Well, very similar to the way they would do now. So the Equibit system is mainly focused not on marketing your IPO or raising the funds itself. It's more focused on the share registration component and managing the investors. Let's say I was seeking investment from only one person. The Equibit system you could use it, but the big value comes in when you're raising a lot of money from lots of small sources, because that's the scaling problem that the industry is facing right now. So the more people you have on your shareholder roll, the more expensive it gets to service all of them, because in the issuer-investor relationship, you have to remember not only does the issuer need to know who its shareholders are and how much of the company each of them own, but they also have to send them messages. They have to collect responses. If there's a vote, they have to tabulate the votes. If it's a dividend, they have tens or hundreds or thousands of dividend checks that they would have to send out. So for a very small, closely held company, that's not the greatest application of Equibit, although it would certainly make your life a bit easier. But as your company grows and gets larger and you have capital raised from more and more and more sources, that's where the real value add in Equibit does, because it puts you in direct contact with your investors and you can handle your entire relationship in a peer-to-peer encrypted method. Well, Equibit is a piece of software, so that part of it doesn't make money. EDC is developing that, and we will be open sourcing the code. Just like Bitcoin, hop on, mine it, please. If anybody's interested in mining the Equibits, definitely, let's talk so we can get that out there and proliferate nodes. As far as EDC is concerned, EDC will make money by providing services to people who want to use that blockchain. So web wallet services with security upgrades, and we also have a developer API that will allow developers to build Equibit apps on EDC infrastructure, meaning the Supernode, which is a new innovation that we've brought out that is brand new, never been done before. So if you're using an EDC service, it will be running on a Supernode, and your private keys are generated and held, encrypted, decrypted, all digital signatures, everything happens in hardware instead of software. So think of it as online cold storage.
How do the U.S. securities laws apply to this, or not apply?
Very good question. So it all applies. Equibit is not opening up any new roads into issuing any new kind of security. In the universe of securities, at the moment you have public shares, private shares, and a third kind of share called a bearer share or a bearer bond. Now, the compliance system that's been integrated into Equibit functions on all 3 levels. So if I wanted to have anonymous investors, I would set my company up in a jurisdiction that allows bearer securities and issue them from there using the Equibit system. So those Equibit tokens that I have added my company information onto can freely float about the whole network, and there's no KYC needed because that's sort of the issuance that I've made. If I make an issuance in the United States, or Canada, or a lot of other countries, then you're either public or you're private. And so you would need to go as an investor and acquire a trading passport, which is our compliance system. And so if you want to stand behind, if you want to put your securities behind a trading passport, you pick which ones offer the right level of KYC that you need, and then the system does the rest, and it will govern the transfers of your shares for you and prevent them from falling into the hands of an unqualified investor.
What hashing scheme is your blockchain using? Can I repurpose my Bitcoin miners? Is it a SHA-256 blockchain?
It will not be SHA-256. It will be a proof of work system. We have not announced the hash yet, but we will do that as we get closer to launch. Yes, sir.
How does the new Equibit blockchain incorporate already existing securities that are out there?
Well, it won't immediately. We have to attract issuers into the system. And to do that, we're already working with a number of companies to onboard them, both directly as well as through the dealer network in Canada. And of course, we'll be looking to branch out more jurisdictions.
The NASDAQ. Are Microsoft shares going to be trading on the new Equibit blockchain?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. One day, I'm sure that will happen. If somebody wants to securitize Microsoft shares and float that on Equibit, they can certainly do that too.
Now, all right. Now, a lot of companies are harnessing the blockchain technology, like public
Sorry, I
trading.
couldn't hear you. It's a bit loud.
All right. Like I was saying, a lot of the securities already are harnessing. Like for example, like my company, we're harnessing the blockchain technology, right?
Yep.
And we're looking for a platform, for example, where we already have coins that's already issued. Now we understand that with color coins, as you know, that specify just for asset companies. Now, will your platform be open towards having companies that's already established, that already have a digital asset that they could transfer anonymously, register, since you already have a platform that already you could notarize and you already passed the securities?
Well, they would have to retire that issuance on whatever system they were originally using and then reissue on the Equibit system. So the process for that is that you would get in contact with your existing investors. You have to execute some sort of shareholder action approving, that we're going to retract all of these shares from this system, or we're going to reissue them over on that one. Carry the motion, issue the shares, away you go.
Will there be any interoperability?
Yes. So blockchain interoperability is a big feature for us. Obviously, when you're buying and selling securities, you need to pay in something. And out of the box, Equibit is going to be working with Bitcoin. And so we're using something called an atomic cross-chain trade to accomplish this. And it's basically a way of doing anonymous, trustless cross-chain swaps. That at any point during the sequence of transactions, if either participant gets cold feet or it doesn't like the way it's going, they can back out and still walk away with everything that they came to the deal in. So either the deal goes through or it doesn't and everybody walks away whole. And so that will allow people to swap Equibits for Bitcoins. And of course any other blockchain that has the requisite functions in it, basically check block time, will be able to be added into that system. But we are going to launch with Bitcoin first, and we'll look at the different cryptocurrencies as they evolve, and if they have if there's a big enough capital base to justify adding it in, and if they support the needed features, it's very easy to add those in.
Now for your ICO, are you allowing other cryptocurrency to purchase your coin? Any other coins?
Just Bitcoin.
Just Bitcoin? Oh, just what you just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the website is up. Has everybody here, or everybody hopefully registered at ico.equibit.org? Yes, a few nods. Okay, so that's the official portal to purchase Equibits in the ICO. So you can register on that site, just username, email. Once we verify your email, then you can go purchase up to 100,000 Equibits at a time from the web portal. So that web portal is opening up at midnight tonight. If anybody's here who wants to buy today before it opens, of course, that's one of the perks of attending tonight. And so, of course, if you're interested in doing that, come flag me down. We'll take care of that for you.
No?
Yes, Corey.
What's the incentive of the average Joe to purchase into Equibit?
So the average Joe is going to need Equibits to pay for transaction fees on the network. And issuers will need them to conduct issuances over the system. Now, Equibits will attract some sort of nominal value to them, and of course a blank Equibit can be used like a Bitcoin or like a Litecoin or a Dogecoin or any other kind of coin once it's acquired that value to be used to trade. And depending on who you're trading with, then you can get a premium for them, or it's hard to predict exactly how it's going to pan out, but the buy side for blank Equibits is pretty strong because the use cases for a blank Equibit go beyond your average token. All right, well, we'll wrap things up. I think all of the food is out, so. Does anybody want to see the ICO website right now?
Yes.
Yeah, we still have like 3 hours of drinking until.
So this is our ICO website. You see the countdown here. And then we've got registration methods upon the countdown. Down here. Very simple. Username, email, security question, password. And what will happen after you put this in? It'll email you a PIN code to verify the email. Enter your PIN and complete the registration. You're good to go. Once the crowd set launches, these buttons are going to move down and you're going to see a buy field. Type in the number of Equibits you're looking for. Hit the buy button. After it confirms you're agreeing with the terms, then you can move on to completing the payment. So you're going to get a window. You're going to get a window with a Bitcoin address and 2 minutes to make the payment. Because it's reserving those Equibits for you, and it will hold them there until it detects them there until it validates a payment. If it can't validate your payment, you lose the reservation, the Equibits are released back into the pool, and you just have to start over again. Now the site is programmed to increase the price every 100 100,000 Equibits sold. And so you're all in this table here. You're going to see the current level, the next level, the prices at each level, how many are remaining in each at each level, and basically all of the details in terms of how much has been sold, how much is left, and at what prices. So we want to be transparent as possible with the purchasing process and what everybody's going to get for what price. We've seen other ICOs do it a little differently, and this we want to make sure you get what you paid for, and yeah, so we want to make that as easy as possible for everyone. So any other questions? Don't hesitate to flag me down. I'm going to be here all night. I'm going to go and flex you.
Push up.